The 2002 season of Formula One has been more exciting than we've ever seen it for the past decade. With Ferrari's Leclerc and Red Bull's Verstappen, the sport seems to be taking on a breath of fresh air, but somewhere in the back there is smoke. And it's some thick smoke. We are of course talking about the back of the grid team, Haas, and its big-name driver, Mick Schumacher. Being a son of a Formula One driver puts a lot of pressure. Sure, you can have a mentor, but the expectations from the fans and the media are set really high. But what happens when you are the son of one of the best and most successful drivers to have ever been to the sport? Mick Schumacher started racing in 2021 for Haas. He didn't have the best rookie season, but he showed that he gets better and better as he scored his first points in Silverstone, and then in the next race in Austria with a team that has been struggling. But why his seat is not sure for the next season? Stick till the end of the video to find out. Everything started when Sebastian Vettel announced that at the end of the season, he will retire from Formula One. The German four-time world champion was asked who he would prefer as a replacement. He answered, "I think very highly of Mick. I do think he's a great driver. He keeps learning when others stall or stop progressing." He also mentioned that he isn't very objective, since Vettel and young Schumacher have great bonds between them, as Vettel is like a mentor to Mick. Ever since Vettel was very close to Mick's father and seven-time world champion Michael Schumacher. Unfortunately for Mick, Aston Martin announced that they will sign Fernando Alonso as Vettel's replacement in a multi-year contract, making things awkward in the garage Haas. Both Mick and Haas's team principal, Guenther Steiner, admitted that their relationship is in a tension since Steiner has not been impressed by the young driver's performance. Mick Schumacher had some terrible crashes in Saudi Arabia and in Monaco, costing the American team a lot of money, and having Kevin Magnussen as a teammate that has performed better in qualifyings and races makes it even harder for the young German as his only option so far to stay in Haas. Ever since K-Mag replaced the second seat with Nikita Mazepin, things haven't looked very promising for the heir of the 7-times world champion. Some say it's because of the overwhelmingly smart driving from Magnussen, while others blame Sebastian Vettel for the untimely pressure on Mick Schumacher. But the real deal might be a mix of both of them. You see, Mick Schumacher has been rocking that Haas car for a long time now, and it's true, he hasn't produced a plenty lot of race wins lately. This, after all, was the gathered sophomore sensation, a wipe of a driver who got to be eminent for completely missing the involvement and information picked up over his make-a-big appearance seasons to win F3 and F2 titles at his moment endeavors in 2018 and 2020 respectively. After a discreetly composed rookie campaign final year, in which he completely clobbered his teammate, Nikita Mazepin, both on and off track, Schumacher was without a doubt set to acquire off in a much improved Haas car as he entered year 2. But it has not happened, driving numerous to address whether the minute of liftoff will ever arrive. His modern teammate Kevin Magnussen, still carrying the wondrous gleam of somebody who cannot very accept his luckiness at being given another chance in F1, has successfully done to Mick what Mick did to Mazepin. While Magnussen has scored points in the 3 of the primary 7 races, counting a fine 5th put within the season-opening Bahrain Amazing Prix, Schumacher progressively has the disgust of a small boy misplaced. I don't want to talk about our deal in Ferrari. Guenther Steiner is not open about Schumacher's future with Haas. Mattia Binotto and Guenther Steiner also made it clear that Mick will eventually drive for Ferrari in the future. He told Racer.com that he was unaware of the deal between Mick and Ferrari. He also declined to reveal the details between Haas and Ferrari. I don't want to talk about a Ferrari deal, or they'll get upset. Ultimately, I don't know the real deal between Ferrari and Mick, and I don't need to know. If he decides to go somewhere else, I can't change it, Guenther closed. In another interview with the 4th-time world champion Sebastian Vettel, this is what he said regarding the rumors about his upcoming retirement. "Well, obviously I spoke to Lawrence and told him that I'm not going to continue," Vettel said. "We did have a very, very brief chat about what might be next. I do have my opinion. I think very highly of Mick. I'm obviously not entirely objective because I'm very close to him, but I do think he's a great driver." At the moment, Mick and Haas are not paying attention to the future contract with Guenther and are waiting for Monza to start their first conversation. But Haas has full authority to name its drivers with no commitment from Ferrari. Guenther gave the reason why he did not opt for a contract with the 23-year-old. Haas did not decide on his driver for the next season before the summer break, and will continue to do so in 2022. We don't have to wait for what Ferrari says. We never decide on a driver before the summer break, and we won't do it this year. Of course, I'll start talking to Gene during the warm summer break, Steiner said. After the last round in Hungary, Vettel has been talking with the Aston Martin owner, Lawrence Stroll, about several things. It is known that Sebastian is very close to the Schumacher family, and we can never forget the times when he raced with Michael. Vettel had a brief chat with this British team's principal, and he expressed interest in a possible contract for Mick in his place. This decision is not entirely personal. as Sebastian is familiar with the skills and ambition of the young German driver currently racing for Haas. The strongest ability Mick has is represented by his learning curve. When others stop making progress, this young driver keeps learning because he knows there are many areas to improve. His contract status with Haas is unknown, and his future in F1 might be uncertain if another team doesn't show interest. While the world is focused on Alonso's decision to leave Alpine, or the confusing drama happening in McLaren, let's not forget this young and talented F1 driver with possibly the most famous name in motorsport has an uncertain future. Luckily, he's being helped by Vettel, which is also his mentor. All that is left to do now is to wait for Lawrence Stroll's comment. Earlier this year, Aston Martin driver Sebastian Vettel announced that he would be retiring from F1. This means a driver's seat is being left empty at Aston Martin next year, and speculation all around to see who would fill it. Vettel, being close to the Schumacher family and idolizing Michael Schumacher back in the day, wanted Mick to be the driver to replace him at Aston Martin. But Mick's hopes of replacing Vettel ended when Aston Martin announced that the two-time F1 champion Fernando Alonso would be replacing Vettel. Vettel, after a brief discussion with the Aston Martin owner, Lawrence Stroll, about possible replacements. I do have my opinion. I think very highly of Mick. I'm not entirely objective because I'm very close to him, but I do think he's a great driver. Furthermore, Vettel said that it wasn't up to him to decide who would be replacing him for the 2023 F1 season. So I don't know. It's not my decision. If I'm asked, I will give my opinion. But in the end, the team has to make the decision. Haas team principal Guenther Steiner said that he'd be discussing with the team owner, Gene Haas, and announcing more about the situation by the Italian Grand Prix 2022. With only 9 races to go in the 2022 F1 season, the speculation is in the air as to where the German driver will go. Will Haas extend its contract with Schumacher? Will the 2023 season be without a German driver? And after recent developments at Ferrari about Schumacher, will Mick join the Red Bull development program and end ties with Ferrari? That's all for today. So what do you think? Put your comments down below. If you found our video informative, please be sure to hit like, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell if you don't want to miss any updates. We'll see you in the next video.